Welcome to Shelf Help, a channel dedicated to talking to the void about whatever book I happen to be reading. I am your host, the reader. The following review will contain spoilers. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably already know how I feel about the Dresden Files. If you don't, the short answer is that it is my favorite series. I came across it about the time book 8 hit paperback. Bought the first book on a whim, read it cover to cover in a day and a half, and went back and got the rest of the series. Finished them in a little under 2 weeks. I have over 1,000 books, and I've read these 15 several times. Harry Dresden is just my sort of hero. He's a powerful wizard, but he plays in a world of gods and monsters, and he is very much mortal. He wins more through creativity than through raw power or being a chosen one. He doesn't like bullies, and he's willing to become a walking wounded to keep everyone else from being hurt. The first book is basically an introduction to the world. Karen Murphy, Susan, Morgan, Johnny Marcone, and Bob are reoccurring characters from this story. Harry is the only openly practicing wizard in the country, and is set up in Chicago. Mostly he finds lost items and does paranormal investigations, and by mostly I mean he's broke most of the time. Plus the occasional consulting work for the Chicago PD Special Investigations Unit. In this debut outing, Harry is investigating 2 cases. For his PI work, he's searching for a missing husband, Victor Sells, who has taken to magic as a form of midlife crisis after being let go of his job. For the Chicago PD, a case of people having their hearts exploded from their chests. Literally exploded. The first victims are a prostitute, not so incidentally Victor Sells' sister-in-law, and a bodyguard of the local mob boss, Johnny Marcone. Dresden finds himself caught in the crossfire between a rogue wizard, the White Council, the Chicago PD, and the mob. Karen Murphy is the head of Special Investigations, a department of the Chicago PD that looks into strange cases that don't fit neatly into any other category. She brings Harry in as an advisor. They're frenemies. I didn't like Karen for the first few books. Honestly, I thought she was going to become an antagonist. She is very much a cop, which, in light of current events, is not really a positive attribute. She's driven to get her perp no matter what, which is a problem when some of your perps are things like trolls and fairies and other creatures you can't really arrest and drag before a mortal judge in a world that doesn't believe in magic. There is a fine line between being tenacious and being unreasonable, and she tends to fly right over it from time to time. Even if she does believe in magic, she doesn't seem to actually understand, or want to understand. That makes her approach to her job odd. She brings Harry in and demands to know, on the spot, how exploding hearts can be done. And she keeps demanding it over the course of the weekend, even when he tells her it will take time and research. I know CSI and its many spin-offs have given people a false sense of how long forensics takes, but a lot of those tests take weeks. DNA can take months. Even if it's a high-profile case, which, with a vampire running an escort service and a mob boss both wanting to keep it quiet, probably not. You can only push tests through so fast. She even goes so far as to accuse him of murder and gets a warrant for no other reason than he can't give her the answer she wants on the spot. I'd really like to know what she told the judge on that one. And again, what is she going to accomplish? She's just going to look crazy saying he used magic to explode hearts. She just comes off as a hard-ass for the sake of being a hard-ass. She does get better in later books, thankfully. Which brings us to Morgan and the White Council. Morgan is Harry's parole officer, for lack of a better word. An incident that is only hinted at here had Harry killing his mentor with magic as a teen, which is a big no-no in the magic world. Human magic is divided into white and black, and once you've used black magic, it's tempting to use it again. He was a teenager, and it was self-defense, but he's still put on parole to make sure he doesn't slip, which, considering a guilty conviction would mean execution by sword, not so bad. But Morgan is a lot like Murphy. They are both very much cops. Both are willing to pin any wrongdoing on Harry without much evidence or search for other possibilities. Fast conviction over justice. But where Murphy is presented as driven, Morgan is just an anal retentive asshole. At least Murphy tries to investigate. Morgan sees magic being used in an illegal way, and so it must be Harry. Granted, this spell is very powerful, and wizards of Harry and Morgan's level are few and far between. He's still jumping to conclusions. Though it is nice for the woman to be considered driven and the man the bitch for a change. And then there's Bob. He's a spirit of air and knowledge that lives in a human skull. He's also a smartass and a pervert. Bob is centuries old, has been the assistant to many wizards in that time. He functions as a memory and spell saver, if you can get past the snark. Susan is a reporter for a paper called The Arcane, a supermarket tabloid that usually publishes things like Elvis being an alien love child, and occasionally getting stories about real supernatural events correct. For this story, she serves as Harry's love interest and damsel in distress, but she'll be back in a big way. Then there's Johnny Marcone, with his eyes like old dollar bills. He's cold, he's calculating, he's ruthless. He rules Chicago's organized crime with an iron fist. I shouldn't like him. He's a bad man. But his straightforward way of dealing with the world really appeals to me as a villain. He's the chess master to Harry's battleship. Like Susan, he's really more important in later books, but this is where we get to know who he is. The heart of the story is a film noir-style murder mystery, liberally coated with urban fantasy. Sam Spade with wizards and vampires. Magic in this series comes in several forms. Each species has its own magic. For humans, it comes in two forms. Invocation, which is summoning a blast of fire or other element, and a prepared spell. All wizards can do both, but not necessarily both well. Harry is better at prepared spells. Of course, this means he often has to use spells creatively. Part of what I love about this series is that Harry is no Sherlock Holmes. He gets lucky as often as he deduces the answer. And sometimes he just says, fuck it, and goes in swinging. This case depends on being in the right place at the right time. But that's different from a Deus Ex Machina. At the lowest point in the story, Harry returns to the place of the last murder. A woman who might still be alive if he had not contacted her. The evil wizard has his hair. Murphy has a warrant out for his arrest. Morgan has called the White Consul to have him brought in for execution. And he just blew up one of Marcone's businesses. Pretty much it's a race to see who gets to murder him. He's out of options, and then a man walks in looking for some film. Film Harry just found under the bed. Also a way to go to make me feel old. There are people who could read this book today who have never seen a film canister before. Anyway, Harry uses guile to extract information, and a bit of magic at the end to make his point. This is where he solves the case, but solving isn't the same as stopping it. This is the moment of second win. Now it's a race between stopping the Dark Wizard and being executed in said wizard's place. This is a top-shelf book for me. It's not as complex as later entries, but it is a fun little romp through the world that touches on a lot of parts and characters that we will get back to later. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's mileage will vary, so feel free to leave your thoughts.